Okay guys, so for this project we're going to need a 5mm crochet hook. Just trying to get the camera focused so you guys can see. There we go. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and for the yarns we're going to use Red Heart Super Savior in the color Pretty and Pink. I am also going to use Red Heart Super Savior in bright yellow. And finally, we're going to use Red Heart Classic in the color Parakeet, or a turquoise blue color. So to begin, you're going to begin with a chain of 70 using your yellow yarn. So I'm going to make that chain of 70. I'm going to fast forward the video and then meet back up with you guys when we are there. Okay, so here guys, we've made that chain of 70. So now without twisting your yarn, we're going to slip stitch into the first chain that you made. Okay, so we made a chain one, and now what you're going to do is you're going to put a double crochet, one double crochet into each chain all the way around until you make it back to the beginning of your work. So here I'm just putting one double crochet in that first stitch, and that chain one does not count as a stitch. So one double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and I'm just going to show you so you can see what I did for this dress, and then eventually I will speed up the video and be back up with you guys when we have finished that round. Okay, so here we've made it back around, so you're going to slip stitch to that first double crochet that you made, and then you're going to chain one, which does not count as a stitch. Then you're going to go in and make a front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet in the next stitch, and then another front post in the next following that one, and a back post double crochet in the next. So front post double crochet, back post double crochet, and you're going to repeat that all the way around until you make it back to the beginning of your work, where you will then slip stitch into the first double crochet made. Okay, so here we've made it back around. So now what we're going to do is you're going to slip stitch to that first double crochet as I mentioned before, make a chain one, which does not count as a stitch, and you're going to put a single crochet in that same space, and then a single crochet in each stitch all the way around, So I'm going to leave in part of the video and eventually speed up, and me back up with you guys when we have made it to the end of our round. Okay, so here we've made it back around. We're going to put our slip stitch into that first double crochet, and we're going to now chain one. So basically this is the waistband of the skirt that we would have made. So you're going to chain one, and then you're going to put a double crochet in that same space as that chain one. I made a mistake there, guys, so I'm gonna pull out and then start afresh. So you chain one, and then you're going to put a double crochet back into that same space where you made that chain one, because remember that chain one does not count as a stitch. And then the next stitch you're going to do an increase, which is basically just a double crochet, a chain two, and another double crochet all into the same stitch. So the next stitch is going to have one double crochet, and the stitch following that double crochet will be an increase, which is a double crochet, a chain two, and another double crochet all in the same space. So that is basically what you're going to repeat all the way around. And I'm going to leave in part of the video, eventually speed it up, and then meet back up with you guys when I have completed this round. Okay guys, so we've made it all the way back around, and this is what we have thus far. So now for the next round, what you're going to do is you're going to slip stitch into that first double crochet that we made, and then we're going to chain one as always, and then we're going to put one double crochet into that same space as the chain one, and then you're going to put one double crochet in each stitch until you make it up to the chain two space, in which you're going to do another increase in that chain two space. So here we have an increase in that chain two space, followed by double crochets all the way up until you make it to the next chain two space, in which you will do an increase. So you're putting one double crochet in each stitch all the way to the next increase or chain two space, and placing a increase in that chain two space. So one double crochet in each stitch, and then a increase in each chain two space all the way around. And I'm going to complete the round and be back up with you guys. Like always, I'm going to speed up and then come back around and be back up with you guys when we're there. Okay guys, so this is what we have thus far. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch like we always do, and then do a chain one, which does not count as a stitch. And now for this entire round, we're going to put one double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and we're also going to put one double crochet in each chain two space. So here I'm putting the one double crochet in that chain two space, and we're going to continue putting one double crochet in each stitch, and then one double crochet in each and every chain two space. So we're no longer doing any increases, and this is basically how we're going to complete the skirt. We're just going to alternate the colors as we go along. So one double crochet in each stitch all the way around. Eventually I will speed up the video and be back up with you guys when we are there. Okay guys, so this is what we have thus far. So now to begin our next round, instead of you slip stitching with your yellow, you're going to go into the first double crochet like you normally would. However, we're going to drop the yellow yarn and pick up the next color. In my case, it is the pretty and pink. If you are doing it if you're making your skirt in one solid color, then you wouldn't have to switch colors. However, if you are switching colors, and this is what I did, but you can change your colors however you choose. So basically, you drop your yellow yarn and pick up your pink yarn instead to complete your slip stitch. And like always, you're going to slip stitch. And like always guys, you make a chain one and then put a double crochet in that same chain one space. And you're going to put a one double crochet in each stitch all the way around until you make it back around. So here I'm just joining, well, tying the yarns, the two different colors together so as to keep it in place, and eventually I will hide those tails. But you're going to put one double crochet in each stitch all the way around, and I did this in the pink yarn for the next 3 rows, and eventually we will change the color again and then do another 3 rows alternating the colors that I chose. So one double crochet in each stitch all the way around. So I'm going to complete that and then meet back up with you guys when we have finished that round. Okay guys, so this is what I have thus far. As I mentioned before, I did a total of 3 rounds in the pink color. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to switch colors again. And in my case, I'm using my turquoise blue yarn. So instead of completing my slip stitch in pink, I'm going to finish a slip stitch in the blue color and then make a chain one double crochet in that same space as the chain one, and then I'm going to put one double crochet in each stitch all the way around until we make it back around. And I'm going to complete these rounds, the next 3 rounds in the blue color before we alternate again or switch to the next color, which will be back to the yellow. Okay guys, so this is what we have thus far. We made a total of 21 rounds, and I changed the color every 3 rounds. Remember, if you're not changing colors, and you just need to know that you have to make 21 rounds, but you're not tying off just as yet. We have one final row to go. So for round 22, what I'm going to do, I've already joined with my slip stitch. So I'm going to make a chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet in that same space, and I'm going to continue making single crochets all the way around until we make it back around. So I'm going to speed up the video eventually and be back with you guys when we're there. Okay, so here I'm just coming to the end of my round, so I'm just gonna put my single crochet in each stitch all the way until I make it to the end, and I'm going to slip stitch into my first single crochet that I made, and then I'm going to tie off. So that is the completed skirt. Okay, so now guys, I'm going to begin making the front part of the dress. I'm going to make a chain of 30 plus 1, and that 1 is just going to cause my turning chain. So I've made the 31 chains, and I'm going to go into the second chain from the hook, and I'm going to put 1 double crochet in this second chain from the hook, and in each chain all the way until we make it to the end. So here we've come to the end of the row, and now we're going to chain up 1, and that chain 1 again does not count as a stitch, and turn our work and put a double crochet into that same chain 1 space, and 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way to the end, and then we're going to change colors, and I'm going to show you guys how we do that. So here, going into our last double crochet stitch, we're going to pull through 2, and then before we pull through the last 2, like we would with the last 2 chains of our stitch, we're going to pull through and finish the double crochet with our pink yarn, and then continue our pattern where we chain 1 and turn, and then place 1 double crochet in that same stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each stitch to the end, and we're going to complete 2 rows in our pink as well before we change colors to the blue. Okay guys, so this is our piece of fabric here. I did a total of 70 rows of double crochet, changing the colors every 2 rows, and then for row 18 I did a row of single crochet in my yellow color, so now I'm just going to work on the edging around the piece. Now you could go around all in one color, but I decided to use each color that I use for each particular row. So in the pink rows, I'm going to use pink as the edging, and then in the yellow rows, I'm going to use yellow for the edging, and in the blue, I'm going to use blue. I hope that that is understandable, and I'm going to show you in a bit when I start. So here I'm just going along the length of the rows in the pink and I did 4 single crochet. You don't have to do 4 single crochet, I just chose to do 4. But with that 4th single crochet, you're going to drop, instead of finishing it with the pink, you're going to drop the color and pick up your next color to complete the edging on the side of the piece in that particular color. So my next color is yellow, so I'm going to complete the side of the work with the yellow yarn. So here I'm just doing my 4 single crochets in yellow along the length of the piece, and when I get to the blue, I'm going to drop the yellow and pick up the blue yarn, and then continue along the sides of our piece, switching the colors every 4 stitches, or how many ever stitches you want. There's really no right or wrong. Okay guys, so here we have what I've done with the edging thus far. I put the pink along the pink rows, yellow along the yellow rows, blue along the blue rows, and I'm coming to my first corner, so I'm just going to place my stitches in there. And with that corner stitch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place 3 single crochets in that corner stitch, and then continue working my single crochets along the length of my piece. And in this particular part of the fabric or piece of the front piece of the dress, there aren't any stitches along this side. I'm just working in those little loops at the bottom of the first set of stitches we did in the first row. So just going to continue placing a single crochet along the length of the piece until we make it to the next corner. So you're going to continue and work along the other side of your piece and doing the same thing. So you're going to work using the pink in the pink rows, blue in the blue rows, yellow in the yellow rows until you get to the next corner. So here I've made it to the next corner. So I've done both sides. So now I'm going to place a single crochet along over that first double crochet that I made there, and I'm going to place the 3 double crochets in the top of the stitch to form the corner, and then continue working along the row, the length of the piece, until I make it to the next corner. So here I've come to the last corner. I'm doing my 3 double crochets to help turn, and then I put my single crochets along the around the stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet in the pink yarn and tie off. And so now my piece, the front part of the dress, should be finished. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to tie off, and I'm going to sew in all of those tails that we would have, because we have a lot of tails to sew in. The worst part. So sew in all those tails, and then I'm going to be back with you guys when I get there. So here I have the finished front part of the dress. I've sewn in all of my tails, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew that piece to the front of my skirt using only 30 stitches. So I arrange the skirt in a way so that my seam is at the side, therefore it is less visible. You can put it at the back or wherever you choose to put your seam, but I prefer to put my seam at the side so that it's not as noticeable. So I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm going to count along at the front of the skirt and count 30 stitches so that I can sew on the front piece of my dress. And for sewing on, I'm not going to actually crochet on. I'm going to take a tapestry needle and some yarn, and I'm going to sew it along those 30 stitches. So here I'm just grabbing some yarn and threading the tapestry needle, because I just wanted to show you guys that I did sew on with the tapestry needle. I didn't crochet on, but I did sew it on off camera, and I will be back with you guys when I have completed it. Okay, so this is what it looks like after sewing on the front part of the dress. I think it came out really cute and pretty. So here I'm just trying to show you guys it as best as I can. So I sewed on to the front part of my skirt, and it looks really nice. Well, to me. And so for the next part, in this pattern, you're going to make the straps for the dress. So I'm going to use the yellow yarn for my straps. You can use whatever color you see fit, whatever color you're using. And so to begin with the straps, you're actually going to begin with a slip knot and a chain of 5 plus 1. So here I'm making my slip knot, and I'm going to chain my 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then I add that 1, which is going to be my turning chain. So then in the second chain from the hook, I'm going to place 1 double crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then I'm going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way to the end. Okay, so here once you made it to the end, you're going to chain 1 and turn. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. You place a double crochet into the same stitch as that chain 1, and you're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way to the end, chain 1 and turn, and repeat the same pattern. And so you guys know you should have 5 stitches total for each row. So you're just going to continue this until you have a total of 32 rows. And remember, you're making 2 of these. Okay guys, so here I have the finished wrap, and I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. So here I'm just counting to show you guys. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32 rows. And you should have 2 of these. So here I have my second one. So we're going to sew the straps onto the back of the skirt. So what I did is I counted back 16 stitches from each size of the dress and placed a stitch marker into that 16th stitch. And I'm going to use those marked stitches as a guide to how I want to sew on my straps. So with the first strap here, I'm just going to show you what I did. With the first strap, what I'm going to do, I'm going to thread my needle. So I'm threading my needle. And I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to use that marked stitch as a guide. So my first stitch of my strap, I'm going to put over that marked stitch, and I'm going to have the remaining stitches going towards the middle of the skirt. So I'm going to put it over there, and where my first stitch is going to be over that marked stitch, and I'm going to start sewing, and the remaining 4 stitches are going towards the middle of the skirt or the dress instead of going towards more the sides, if you understand what I mean. So here I'm just sewing it on, placing the remainder of the stitches of the strap going more towards the middle of the skirt. I hope that is clear. So I've finished done that, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the next strap. I did this strap off camera, but basically the first stitch of the strap is going to go over that marked stitch, but then the remainder 4 stitches of the strap are not going to go towards the middle of the skirt, then we're going to go outwards. I really hope that makes sense. So here I'm just showing you that this is how I'm going to sew it on to the back of my skirt, and I'm going to do this off camera. I'll be back with you guys when I have finished. So here is the finished skirt with the straps sewn onto it, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to turn it over so you guys can get a look of how it will look at the front. So here I'm just showing you how your straps are going to come along the front and attach. You can use some buttons if you have, but right now in Barbados we are in lockdown, so most stores, well, every store is closed. So I didn't have buttons, but so I decided to improvise. So I made some bows. So here I'm just showing you the first one. I'm going to show you how to make the second one. So I'm going to use my bows as buttons. So to begin, you're actually going to grab your pink yarn or whatever color yarn you choose to make your bows with. So as you can see, I use my pink. So I'm grabbing my pink yarn, and I'm going to begin with a slip knot. And now we're going to make a chain of 8. And so basically you chain 7, and that 8th chain is your turning chain. So once I have my 8 chains, I'm going to go into the second chain from the hook, and I'm going to place 1/2 double crochet in that second chain from the hook, and I'm also going to place a 1/2 double crochet in each chain all the way to the end, and then I'm going to chain one and turn. Again, the chain one does not count as a stitch. So here I've chained one. I'm going to place a half double crochet in the same stitch as that chain one, and continue placing a half double crochet in each stitch all the way to the end. And this is our second row. And then once completed, we're going to chain one and turn again and complete this row, this pattern, for a third row, because the bows only need 3 rows. So once we've completed that third row, I'm going to show you guys what we do next. Okay, so we've made our last half double crochet, and now what we're going to do is we're going to tie off, leaving a long tail for sewing and to help finish for the bow. So here I just tied off, leaving my long tail, and I'm going to sew in my end. Okay, so I have attached my yarn needle to the long piece of thread that I'm going to use to help finish for the bow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to thread through basically to the middle of the piece of fabric that you would have made, and I just eyeballed it. I didn't count to see that it was an even amount of stitches on either side. So just eyeball it, thread through to the middle, and I'm going to pinch the piece of fabric in the middles to help form the bow. And then I'm going to use that yarn and wrap around a number of times. There's really no right or wrong, so just wrap around, and then I'm going to just put a little knot at the back to keep it in place. And that is our finished bow. So these are what we are going to use as our buttons. Remember, you guys can totally sew on buttons if you prefer to, but I think the bow idea was a pretty cute idea. So now I'm going to sew on the bow. So I'm just going to show you how I sewed on the first one, and then I'm going to sew on the next one off camera. So here I'm just going in that rows of pink yarn and sewing on my bows here. So just go in and out as normal. There's no particular way that you have to sew on the bows. So just doing that, and then eventually I will sew on the second one off camera and show you guys what it looks like when we are there. Okay, so here I'm just showing you guys that I use the spaces between the double crochet stitches in the strap as the buttonholes. You can make button loops at the end of your straps if you prefer, but I would recommend making a less amount of rows for the straps if you're going to make the button loops at the end of the straps. So that's just how it's going to look. So I'm going to do the second one off camera as I mentioned before, and then meet back with you guys when we are there. Okay, so this is what the finished dress would look like. I'm just showing you guys how it looks once I have finished sewing on the 2 bows and attached the straps. I think it came out really cute. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a drawstring to put inside of the waistband of the skirt. Okay, so using my yellow yarn, I'm going to make the drawstring, and I'm just going to make a chain of 120. There's no right or wrong for the drawstring. You can do more or less chains if you prefer. And so here I have completed that. I did it off camera, and I attached my drawstring to tie at the back of my dress. You can make yours to tie at the front if you prefer, but I just thought that it looked cuter if I tied it at the back. So this is your completed dress, guys. I'm gonna turn it over to show you guys the front in a minute. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I think it came out really cute and pretty. So I really was happy with the outcome of it. And so that is your finished dress, guys. Remember, this is going to fit. So I wanted to tell you, my audio was cut for some reason, and so just added this clip here. So I wanted to let you guys know that the dress will fit a 4-year-old to a 5-year-old little girl, and it might even fit a 6-year-old. So that is the finished dress, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please hit that like button if you liked it, subscribe for more, and I put a link to my Etsy shop and my Instagram page in the description box below. Bye guys.